Welcome back. This month I'm taking a deep dive into diets and our society's obsession with weight loss. Last week we talked about diet culture, what it is and why it's so damaging. And in this week's Your Best Life, we explore where diet culture came from. Diet culture is a system of beliefs that equates thinness and smaller bodies to health, happiness, worthiness, and respect. And it's everywhere.
By like 7 and 8 years old, about 50% of little girls already have this idea that they need to change their body.
Delina Soto is a registered dietitian and body positive advocate. She grew up seeing the many ways diet culture impacts people of color.
In the Latinx culture, it's very much like you have to be thin, but you need to have a small waist and a big butt. It's again mimicking that Eurocentric view, but from like a Latinx perspective. And, it's very unfortunate because that's what we grow up thinking that we need to look like.
But where did it come from? Dr. Sabrina Strings is an associate professor of sociology at UC Irvine and the author of Fearing the Black Body, The Racial Origins of Fat Phobia.
When we think about diet culture specifically, the idea that we must continue to routinely work on taming our bodies, that has a root in the fat phobia that was generated in the Western world as a result of slavery.
She says modern ideas about weight began hundreds of years ago with race scientists who argued that white people were more slender while black people were more fat. And it was also being preached from the church pulpit.
What they argued was that, obviously you want to eat appropriately for God. And so one way in which you can do that, obviously not being greedy, not being gluttonous.
String says while researching her book, she found diets discussed in some of the earliest women's magazines, and the reasons for dieting were very clear.
In the U.S., some of the earliest diets were undertaken by women who identified as white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and they would say very clearly, we have to eat right for God, and also because it is the proper thing to do for our race.
And while diet culture's roots aren't as well known now, the effects are felt by everyone, no matter